Okay, game on. Just playing a couple games here in the middle of some work, and had an inkling for mono black. Someone asked me for the list recently, so that got me thinking about it and playing it also. I'm up against Intet the Dreamer, playing Skithrix. I have a draw that is borderline keepable, but I do have the ability to just throw out Mind Stone, and if I draw one more swamp, the draw turns golden. So I'm going to keep it. He goes first. Command Tower, Soul Ring. Exactly what you want to see from your Intet the Dreamer playing opponent. There's that swamp right on schedule, so we're good. This black deck does run a ton of land, so I can pretty confidently keep hands like that, I think. Play Mind Stone. Mimic Vat. Normally don't care about it, although it tends to be kind of a pain in the ass for mono black because you do kill a lot of creatures and have very few ways of stopping it. But pretty much here I'm just thinking he's gonna probably just go get his cast his commander next turn. And at least Mimic Vat doesn't work with the commander if they exile it. So swamp. I had the option of going lake, blah blah blah, lotus, but it felt kind of greedy to me, given that I can just do it next turn without having to sack a land, other than the come into play tap land, or the come into play lake land. So I'm just going to go and tutor for Damnation. This is just totally preemptive against, assuming he's going to cast Intet, because I don't have any other counters for it right now, and it might keep him from committing it at all. Instead, he casts this damn thing, Frost Titan, which I normally obviously wouldn't care about, except that there's a Mimic Vat in play, which makes things really, really obnoxious. This game's getting much, much harder, all thanks to Soul Ring. So here, I have to just do this, which seems so crappy, but I don't know, I guess it's not that bad. He did tap the land at least, but sacking 2 swamps, and it does put Skithrix out to get him a little bit nervous at least. I assume he can just tap the Skithrix, which gives me full access to my mana, which is kind of the point here. He's going to attack. Tap the Skithrix, smash me for 6. And I fully assume he's going to just follow up here with his Intet, assuming that I can't really safely Damnation, because then he puts a Frost Titan under Mimic Vat, which is much harder to deal with, actually. But that's not going to happen. He also tapped 4 mana for Force Field, which is really weird, too. So I'm thinking about all the different plays to make here, and I'm thinking, like, I can Brain Spoil this thing, but that doesn't really fix the problem. It does make him tap 3 mana every turn, so he can't cast his dragon, and he can't really use the Wolf Run. But at the same time, I need a chain of events to unfold here. I need to sort of set up multiple turns. So ultimately I decide what I'm going to do is I'm going to transmute the Brain Spoil, and I'm going to go get Diabolic Revelation, because Diabolic Revelation can solve a lot of problems all by itself, and I do still have Yawgmoth's Will to sort of double up on other effects. So it seems to me that taking some damage and just casting Diabolic Revelation here is the plan. So I transmute, and he sees this too, and I fully expect, like I would expect any decently skilled player to just now start tapping my Gilded Lotus when they attack, because he has Force Field, so he doesn't really care about Skithrix. Right? If he attacks and taps Gilded Lotus, I guess I have a blocker, but at the same time, I can't cast Diabolic Revelation for anything meaningful. But instead, he still taps the dragon, which I'm very happy to see. Hits me for another 6. It says done. So it's 6 mana in play, 2 of it blue. He didn't pump his guy, didn't cast his dragon. It just says done, which makes me very nervous. So I can almost certainly assume I'm facing a counterspell here. And because of that, I am not going to cast the Diabolic Revelation. I decide not to do it, because I still have some time. So I'm going to Whisper first and see what that yields. God, could that have been any better? Soul Ring and Crucible, and I've got 2 swamps in the graveyard with my lake. That was absolutely perfect. So we cast that, cast Crucible, replay a swamp. Now we're looking a lot better, because now I can actually threaten his hand with Mind Sludge. If he does have a counter, I can force that and then follow up with the other things that I want to cast. So here on his turn he casts Cultivate, which is obnoxious also, given that he didn't draw a land that turn. And it's going to give him 2 blue. Once again, good old Soul Ring. Taps the dragon. Never been more happy to be hit for a or to have my Skithrix tapped, and I draw a Demonic Tutor, which is so pro right now. So I put another land out, and now, at this point, we're basically just going to try to force his hand. First thing I'm going to do is Sludge to see what he's got. And if he doesn't have a counter here, then he gets pretty wrecked. But look at that. I read him correctly. Fairy Trickery. 4 cards in hand still. Alright. We're going to Demonic Tutor. 4. There's a lot of choices. So many different ways to approach this situation. But I really feel that ultimately I need to kind of... I'm really low already. I mean, Kessig Wolf Run plus this guy has 2 attacks and I'm dead. So I kind of need to do something to distract him. I love having the Yawgmoth's Will here because it's going to allow me to double up on everything. And what I really need to do is I need to set up a big turn where I'm able to Diabolic Revelation for a substantial amount of cards to get Pithing Needle to shut this down and to get some other things to kind of advance the board state. So ultimately I just decided to go for Karn. Because Karn, if you look at my land, I have exactly enough. That's makes 5, 6, 7. Karn not only goes to 10 and can eat one of those 4 cards that I was trying to sludge out of his hand, at the same time it also keeps his mana very preoccupied. He would have to tap nearly all of his mana to pump through this guy. He would have to tap 6 of his 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he'd have to tap down to just 2 land in order to kill Karn in 1 attack step, which I am totally happy with, because that would pretty much open up the Diabolic Revelation for 1,000,000, which would almost certainly win me the game. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get Karn. I'm going to cast it. I'm going to eat a card out of his hand. He discards the Channelers. So he plays a land here. Taps a bunch of land. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? 6, 7, 8, 9. Geyser for 7. And again, normally you're pretty unhappy to have your opponent cast Brain Geyser for 7, but in this circumstance, when I've still got Karn Liberated in play, that does actually seem kind of nice for me, given that I have such amazing mana options next turn. So he does hit Karn. I draw Chrome Mox, another really, really good draw, because I'm already getting a land out of the graveyard, and this gives me more. I mean, I guess I could have drawn, I don't know, Mana Crypt, or Ritual, or Mana Vault or something, but this is pretty damn good too, especially given that the Decree of Pain is just sitting in my hand doing nothing. So I eat another card from his hand, which is very important also. Play the Chrome Mox. And here we go. Huge Revelation. We're going to Diabolic Revelation for 3. And what's so cool is that because of the will and all this extra mana production, I have the ability to will this right back, and if I need to, and do other things with it. So, what to get? This is a very, very, very important turn. There's so many different things that need to be dealt with, right? There's the 6 cards that are in his hand. There is the Vat. There's this guy. And then there's the Intet as well, and this land. So, what do you get? Think about that for a second, if you're following along. I think I make perfect choices here, based on what happens. I choose to get, well, first of all, the Pithing Needle. That's obvious. Let's see. Oh, and of course, I get Mind Twist to deal with his hand, Pithing Needle, and the final card is... I actually looked at a lot of different things here. I considered getting one of the Lilianas, preferably probably Vess, because of its ability to multi-tutor. I thought about Mindslaver also. I thought about Sorin. I almost picked Sorin, just because I kind of wanted the Mindslaver effect. I also wanted to gain life, in case he's got some burn or whatever, but I ultimately felt that I could be in a situation where I wouldn't really be able to get Sorin to work. And what I decided was that I just wanted to buy some time, get him to repeatedly cast his Dragon once his Titan was dead, and which would allow me to ramp more mana out and do a huge Yawgmoth's Will for the game. Alright, we're resuming there. Had to pause. So, the final choice that I decide gives me the most long-term stability for the cheapest cost is Chainer's Edict. So I get that. We're going to twist his whole hand away. Truth of the matter is he actually had a bunch of garbage in here. I guess this was very, very nice to get. Hull Breach. But I also got Eternal Witness, which is pretty awesome too. Alright, looking a lot more set up. So he plays a land. Frost Titan taps my guy, and he's pumping. Pumping and pumping, and I think he actually had enough mana here to pump twice. I mean, that only requires 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, he had enough mana to pump twice to kill, or pump 2, I should say, to kill the Karn and then cast Intet. And instead, he just makes this guy 12 power. I mean, might as well, right? Leaving 1 mana back for Force Field. And tap and draw Liliana. Kind of handy. So now we're going to Chainer's Edict instead of... honestly, I was planning on using Damnation, but I realized that Chainer's Edict, just based on what's going on here, makes a lot more sense. Especially because I don't even have to pay the 2 to get him to, for it to die. So he buries his guy, and I Pithing Needle to Mimic that, and play Liliana, and get a Swamp. And now we're looking pretty damn good. So I just fully assume that he's going to just chain cast his dragon here. And instead, he top decks this stupid, horrible thing. I mean, it's not stupid, it's actually pretty awesome, but it's stupid right now because it kicks my ass. And he kills Liliana with it, which blows. I did get a Swamp out of it, and I draw Consume Spirit. So first things first, let's get rid of that thing. Let's attack into the Force Field. And we're done. So he draws and thinks for a bit and says done. Which makes me very nervous because now I feel like I wanted him to play a land and maybe his dragon so badly there. Because I guess I wouldn't have done that actually. Yeah, I would have just cast Damnation and then cast Diabolic Revelation. The next turn I would have Consumed Spirited the dragon, I suppose. I'm just babbling. Anyway, so, unfortunately, because he's kept a card and I've seen counters, and this is the whole game at this point, I can't really just cast it. So instead, I decide to just throw a huge Consume Spirit at his head. Figuring if he's the kind of guy who plays with Force Field, he's the kind of guy that would counterspell a Drain Life for 13. Because he cares about his life total in Commander. Sure enough, it goes through. So I'm happy about that. I'll just attack. At the end of the turn, Jace's Ingenuity. Quite a set of top decks there. I don't know why he wouldn't have cast this in response to the drain. Might as well look, right? But, I don't know, whatever. So, Thran Dynamo, Bird, Dragon. And he tapped an unnecessary amount of blue, which obviously telegraphs no counterspell. I mean, I guess he could have Negate or something. I draw this, which is so amazing too. Alright, and here we go. Will. And he packs it in. And look at that, I had 3 black floating. So I could cast 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I could Demonic Tutor for like 7 or 8 cards there. More than enough to win the game. So he's wise to scoop to Will, but there you go. A game that was definitely in dire straits early on, won by a series of, I think, very good calculated plays. Despite the turn 1 Soul Ring. Hope you guys enjoyed that game. I will post more soon, promise.